Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. I hope the beginning to autumn is treating you well, and I also hope you will excuse my very croaky voice as I'm recovering from a cold, hopefully, keeping my fingers crossed. So I thought I'd take this opportunity and show you a few of the books that I got recently, and when I say recently, I mean from June to September. I've been slowing myself down with buying books, and I think I've managed it quite well, and I thought I would show you some of the books that I've acquired within these months. I'm only mentioning books that I have not yet read in these months, otherwise I would have probably have mentioned them in a wrap-up. So let's get going with the first one, which is one of these gorgeous Macmillan little books, and this is Irish Ghost Stories, edited by Stuart Davies, and I just picked this up in a board game shop where they had books. They only had gorgeous books there, and I just thought this looks amazing. This looks like something perfect for the gloomy months. I don't know if I will get to it within October, probably not. All I know is it's a little collection of stories by Irish authors, among which Bram Stoker and Oscar Wilde, and I'm really excited to get to it. The next one I got second hand, and I've been meaning to get to this one for quite some time. It's I Captured a Castle by Dodie Smith. I've heard really good things about this. It's set in the 1930s, and we follow this young girl who's called Cassandra, and she is telling us of her life and her growing up through diary entries, and she lives in this crumbling castle in the countryside and is living with her really eccentric family. And I think this is also probably a perfect book to crawl under the blanket with and get really cozy with. So yeah, really looking forward to that one too. The next one is a really recent purchase, and I just cracked it when I saw it in the bookshop because Sara from the channel Sara the Dreamer has been raving about these series of crime mysteries, and it's the first book of the mystery series by Louise Penny, Still Life, and we follow our chief inspector Armand Gamache in a small town in Quebec, and it's a small community where a community member has been found murdered in the woods, and he is set to investigate. And I've realized that I am not reading enough stuff either by Canadian authors or set in Canada, so I definitely want to rectify this with this one and another book that will come shortly in this book haul. The next two books I actually found on the street, and I was so happy. I don't know if this is something that is also present elsewhere, but in my town there's a lot of people who, when they move, they just put a cardboard full of books that I don't want to take with them on the street, like for a day or so, and then you can just walk by and pick up anything you want, and sometimes you just get really lucky, and this time I did get lucky, and I got this really nice hardback, really in good condition, of two novellas by ETA Hoffmann, who is an author from the beginning of the 19th century, and the first novella, Der Sandmann, is a really well-known one. It's a really creepy one that's rooted in German folklore, and for example, my sister absolutely loves it, so I really want to get to it. And the second one, Das Fräulein von Scuderi, is one that I think Claudia from Spinster's library has mentioned not too long ago, and it's actually one of the first kind of detective novellas, and it's a detective story that is set in 17th century Paris, and we have this young woman who is investigating, so this sounds really cool. So I was so happy about this find. The other one that I picked up on the street is a little collection of writings by Rainer Maria Rilke, who was an Austrian author, and it's basically a little collection of poems and letters and just pieces of writing of him all about Christmas and what it means to him and what that time of year feels like. and it's just super short, and I felt like it's a perfect way to get into his writing because he is very much acclaimed in the German-speaking world by being a really excellent poet. So I thought this might just be the perfect thing to get into his writing. So I'm also really happy that I found this one. And the last two books I purchased for myself, the first one being the other aforementioned Canadian book, and that is La Femme qui fuit by Anaïs Barbeau-Lavalette. This book was originally written in French, I guess, and the English title is Suzanne. And I think it got a lot of attention in Canada during Canada Reads. At least I remember Christine from The Other Christine That Reads mentioning this and reading this and really liking it. So I had it on my list for a while, and now I just got it. And in this book, the author explores the life of her grandmother, who was a poet and a painter in Canada, and is kind of tracking back her life, because it turns out she just suddenly dropped everything and just left and abandoned her two daughters. And she is kind of trying to retracing her life and what she's been up to. And apparently the writing is really poetic and really beautiful, so I'm also really interested to get to that one. And lastly, I also got myself a little treat, and it's this Penguin book of myths and legends of ancient Egypt. I have always been a big fan of mythology as a kid. I loved everything about ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, ancient Greece, and all the gods and what they were up to and so on. And this is something that kind of got lost over time. And very recently, when my husband started playing Assassin's Creed Origin, which is set in ancient Egypt, I was just like, oh, I need more of this. So I saw that Penguin has this collection of myths and legends from ancient Egypt, and I just figured I'll just give it a try. And I'm really hoping to get more deeper into the actual stories and myths, because the whole thing around and what the gods meant, I got that down pretty much. I just want to understand just the stories people told each other in that time and how it involved their gods. So I'm super excited about this one. Okay guys, these were the books I wanted to mention today. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have bought any exciting books recently, if you are interested in any of these. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And yeah, just let me know what's going on with you, what you've been purchasing recently, and what you've been loving to read recently. And yeah, I hope you're well, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!